Heidi, Jeff Hicks, how are you?
Hi, doing good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Welcome back. So today we're talking about if I was a chief appraiser, what would be my biggest stress? And I'm thinking it's probably lender pushback. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, it depends on your corporate culture and it depends on a lot of things, what your mix is of business, but it can be the high one of the problems. And it may not be that it's something where somebody is saying you need to make this deal, so much as they're trying to pick apart an appraisal so they can get the end result they want. And so there's a jumping through hoops. So yeah, that's a big part of it. That and the tools to manage that, of course, is to have good reviewers to get back, give cogent responses to the lender side, but also to have some kind of handle on what you do on a daily basis, in the way of reporting and so forth, so that you can give them an idea that this is normative, what this particular their problem is. So
So you think mainly that a lot of lenders have no idea what the process is as it goes through credit or the appraisal department and what it takes to get end to end on the workflow of ordering an appraisal?
it can really get away from you for sure, especially if your bank is growing. And so I would think as a chief appraiser, if I were chief appraiser, one of the first things I would want to know is the nitty gritty details about what was going on, averages, and totals, volume, speed. Not that I'm a big one for making speed the most important thing. I think that's a really bad idea, because quality is job one. Speed is job two. So you get your automation, you get your workflow as efficient as possible, your minimized personal uh, interaction that are speed bumps or other kinds of things that are speed bumps. Sure, you can do all that, to speed things up, but the quality, the the spending time on the selection of who's the best appraiser, getting the right information out to the appraiser that's doing the assignment, and then getting a quality review done by somebody who's competent. Yeah, all of that's job one. And so if you don't have the metrics, you can kind of lose the people who are doing the job one are the folks in the field. The person who's a chief appraiser has to manage that. And so one way to do that is good reporting.
So it sounds like if I'm a financial institution without workflow or a system that doesn't have great reporting, that's where a lot of the stress comes from if I was the chief appraiser.
Oh my
Reporting,
goodness, I'd have a heart attack.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
com-
yes, I would definitely have a high stress, taking Tums or whatever it might be, if I didn't have that kind of thing, because you're responsible up the food chain, as well as you do have, it. Some of it is, just systemic pressure, and some of it is specific deal pressure, but there's a lot of uh, uh, pressure on the person at the top of the appraisal department. And the best tools in your toolbox is to be able to know how your department is doing what it does.
I would think that would take a lot of pressure if I was a chief appraiser, having the SLAs, the service level agreements, knowing exactly, hey, this month we did this many appraisals, these many evals, we turned around our reviews in X amount of days. I would think reporting to the C-suite, having metrics, especially with efficient workflow, would really take a lot of the pressure off, especially if a bank is growing. They're doing 50, 70, 100 appraisals a month. I would think that reporting would be really critical to relieving the stress.
Yes, as long as you don't lose track of quality, because if it's all about how fast that review turns, mean, I know one bank that had to turn things in like 2 days. It was a manufactured time frame that wasn't necessary to the deals. And it created all kinds of stress and ended up they had to spend money outsourcing things to do it in that metric. So certainly knowing how fast things turn, I think, is more important to know it and say this is how it works on average when some things are harder to do and other things go through the system of review real fast because they're easy deals. It's better to have that information to then establish or manage expectations from the lenders as to how long reviews are going to take, so they're not beating you up on, oh, where's that review? Well, on average it takes this, and what that means is the ranges that sometimes it takes this long and sometimes it takes that long. Well, on average it takes this long, so they have a sense that there is some play in there.
And it sets expectations for the lenders as well.
Oh, absolutely. That you have to do that because otherwise they're in the dark. I can understand the lenders. They
Sure.
want to get their deal done, and that's perfectly okay. That's what they're getting paid to do. And so if they have enough, if you can give them, if your workflow gives you the data that then you can pass on to the lenders so that they have some sense about how long it's going to take once they put that request in, then they have a comfort level that, well, okay, it's over there and I'm not going to see it for a set amount of time, and they're not worrying about it. They're not picking up the phone and bugging people and wasting your time. So yeah, it's important to have that information. It's important to share that information, but it's not what I don't recommend is that you become a time frame Nazi about it, because that's
Not good. That's
that
more
impairs
stress.
quality.
More stress. Do you think that additional reporting such as concentration mapping, knowing where your collateral is, what property type, like how many hotels do we have over here, do you think that type of reporting really helps out?
Yeah, it does, because one of the requirements of the regulators is that you monitor your collateral. And so if you know that you have and to understand which property types are more complex or have more risk. And something like a hotel that's a going concern, sells as a going concern, has intangible assets intangible means that they can go away, in a very quick order, and you really can't rely on them. They require collateral monitoring. So if you're noticing that you've got a concentration of a particular property type in one area, a particular high risk area, then you can know that you're going to have to spend some time monitoring that collateral property type. But if you don't have the data from the reporting, you can lose track of, well, how many hotels did we do in the last 3 years that were in that area, and you forget. Without that data, the reporting that's what management is. That's why you're on the top, the chief appraiser.
That makes sense. Well, Heidi, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for your discussions. Very, very insightful.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Man, we're on a roll.